Archimex login confirmed.
Welcome to the Lodge. You've accessed
the Lodgecast experience.
Warning, warning. Dangerous spoilers ahead. Enjoy.
The Lodgecast is a little podcast where we watch weird movies so you don't have to.
The Lodgecast, baby.
Lodgecast, gonna smoke this. Lodgecast, missing movie pass. Lodgecast.
We're gonna watch some crap.
Lodgecast.
And then the Lodge Master chats.
With Lucas and Bishki.
Episode 183, The Apprentice.
Hello and welcome to a golden toilet of an episode of the Lodgecast. I'm your Lodge Master, with me as always is Brother Bishki.
If you're gonna think big.
We got Brother Lucas in the back.
Lodge Feffy.
And that's it. It's the three amigos, the three fugitives. Oh boy.
Yeah. It is prestige season. We were going to get Brother Zach, but unfortunately could not make it.
He fell ill, but he has been in constant contact with us via text, keeping his eye on everything that's going on. This is the last Lodgecast before the 2024 election. Woo! We are teetering on the precipice.
Razor thin margins here.
It's one of those
dancing
things,
on the edge of the abyss.
It's one of those things, kind of like our Oscar cast, where it's hyper relevant and then suddenly it's super dated.
Yeah.
You know,
you can never listen to it again.
No matter what happens in the election, you're never going to want to listen to this podcast afterward.
No, but we are at our most heightened right now because we're like, holy shit. It's kind of like when you go back and listen to some of our episodes, say at the beginning of 2020, and we have a couple mentions. We're like, what's that shit going on in Italy where they're closing down theaters? It's some kind of bug going around.
I'm sure we don't have to worry about it.
And then suddenly it slams us in the face and we don't know what to do about it.
In that 2-week period, I thought I got COVID from the way back with Ben Affleck. You know, I'm like, I didn't have a mask on. They closed theaters the next day.
It's like you can trace the tragedy.
Yeah. And we were at this theater, the Burbank 6, for the way back.
It's full circle.
Yeah. Not a good omen.
No.
We're going underground tonight.
Yeah, I went directly to the Burbank 16 like a Pavlovian dog.
Yeah,
right. Same.
And then was sitting outside the slice house and the yard house.
And you're like, holy shit.
And it took me about 5 minutes. I was just waiting.
And you bought
there.
these tickets. Like, you booked
and
this.
I was gonna text you guys. Remember, it's at the 6. And I still went there. Yeah. Anyway.
I mean, it's so bad that, you know, if I just get in my car and am not like actively thinking about where I'm going, I will automatically drive to Burbank.
I
was coming down Magnolia over the 5 freeway on the bridge, and I was about to make a right. And then I was thinking, I was doing that thing where I was like, where am I going to park? And I was like, parking at the 6, right? No, 16? No, 6. Shit, get out of this lane. You got to make a left here.
Oh, yeah.
So anyway, that's all fun, but we're on the edge of oblivion, guys.
Yeah.
Right in the razor blade edge.
Oh, God. I was listening to podcasts all day of who's going to win, and everyone's going back and forth like a ping pong. Like, some people are certain.
Well, no, here's what's crazy is I thought, like the Vegas odds were real and true. But it turns out like it's just Elon Musk and all these fake accounts betting like hundreds of millions of dollars to like throw the spread off. So it's cooked. The books are cooked.
Everything's
the
cooked.
Vegas odds are cooked.
Reality doesn't exist anymore.
Stop the Steal 2.0 is coming.
It's preloaded.
It's preloaded.
Someone in Arizona just lit a United States postal like mail ballot box on fire, burning ballots.
Yeah, no, I guess they've got like the Maricopa County like voting place is just like a citadel that's just like guards and drones. And
I think the issue for me, which makes it different than 2016 or even 2020, is that I know in my soul that the election's not going to change anything. Like, the infection is too deep.
You'll still get murdered at school. Yeah, you'll still just randomly get shot for no reason.
It's not
That's
gonna
not going to stop.
It's
Yeah,
not going
the
to
mass
solve.
shootings will continue.
It's not going to solve
You
anything.
still won't have any health insurance. So when your family member goes to the ER, they'll say, take a number and sit down, and they'll die there.
And
the damage has been done.
There's going to be homeless on the streets until we have universal basic income and, like, you know, state-run mental hospitals where the chronically ill can have a place to live in perpetuity. You know, like, there's all these things that need to get fixed that will never get fixed.
They're not even being talked about.
There's all that
Because
stuff.
money.
But the other fact that, such as the subject of the film we're seeing tonight, half the country still worships this golden calf.
Yeah.
So wild.
And what are we going to do? Like, how do you get past that?
You don't, man.
You don't. You
Fox
don't.
News and Facebook and TikTok just created this vortex that we'll never get out of.
It's just like instant amnesia. Like, people have no memory of what this man has done and said, like, yesterday, much less like 2020 or 2016. It's just like,
I just want people to somehow get out of the cult.
Impossible.
It's not possible.
9 years in this cult.
Cult.
What it fully reminds me of, and just go with me here, it reminds me of the movie Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. There's a point where Steve Martin and John Candy get on the freeway going the wrong way.
Yeah.
And they're driving down the freeway and they see a car going the right way down the other side of the freeway, and they're like, hey, look at that jerk. He's going the wrong way. And the other car's trying to help them. They're like,
You're going the wrong way! What? You're going the wrong way!
Yeah, they're like alcoholic.
He thinks we're going the wrong way. Like, how would he know?
You're going to kill somebody!
Thank you. What a moron.
so I don't know. Anyway, the movie's The Apprentice.
It's our first, like, Trump movie, right? Ever? Besides Fahrenheit 11/9?
Yeah,
This
there's
is-
been documentaries.
But this is
and Dinesh
a
documentaries.
Fiction feature. Historical fiction feature.
Yes.
Period.
Yeah.
And it concerns Donald Trump, I believe, in the 80s with his
Machiavelli.
historically evil
Obi-Wan
character from
Kenobi.
history, Roy Cohn,
Just looks like pure evil.
played by Jeremy Strong, from a little show called Succession that Bishke, you will find out about
I'd like to see that
when we're
yeah.
in the fucking bunkers of the wasteland,
the
and you got some Succession
on
DVDs
DVDs.
ripped from God knows
And I'll
who.
be on, like,
next
an exercise
lockdown.
bike, like, powering the monitor and DVD player.
It'll be smuggled from somewhere, and there'll be blood on the DVDs. And you will finally understand Succession.
I will understand.
3 North Hollywooders will die getting it to you.
But no, I mean, the main reason I'm here is for Ali Abbasi, the director who directed Border, which was a very interesting one. And
That
then
was wild.
Holy Spider, which was on my top 10
that
from
one.
that year. And
yeah, Border is very lodgy. It's very strange and very singular.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. The movie was co-financed by one of Trump's cronies. And
Yes.
then when he saw the final cut, he was like, you can't take my money and make this.
That's the most hilarious part.
So they had to buy him out, and then, like, Trump made a stink, and, like, the other producers or financiers were like, okay, like, we don't want to sell it to distributors or something because we're, like, afraid for our physical safety ? But then they did sell it to a buyer who finally got it, like, released the 0 hour, like, at the last possible minute.
I love it that it was
before the election.
financed by somebody who had no clue what the tone or what the angle or what the plot was.
They probably just pitched it as a two-hander, like My Dinner
Sure.
with Andre, but it's Roy Cohn.
My
the
Dinner
attorney
with fucking
fixer.
Roy Cohn. That reminds me of John Voight in Megalopolis, where it's like
where he's shooting the Trump surrogate with a bow and arrow.
He's taking down MAGA. Did he even know? Does he even know what movie he's in?
No,
Who
these
knows?
old folks, they just throw money around.
Who knows? But yes, I'm very excited about this, although it's very macabre being this close to the election to see this kind of kabuki theater presentation of Trump in the 80s. I don't know. My stomach doesn't know which way to twist itself.
No.
It's kind of crazy because in other countries like China, you can't even like draw a picture of Winnie the Pooh because President Xi Jinping, takes offense to it or whatever.
Yeah.
It feels kind of like Oliver Stone's W, where it's just going to be like too little too late in terms of shifting anything. Yeah. Because W came out after W, and you're kind of sick of hearing about Trump to an extent that is beyond human comprehension. Just like, you just don't want to hear his name.
You
or
don't
see
want to
his
spend
face.
any time with him. Yeah.
And that's why we did a little clearinghouse where we got God's Not Dead out of the way. We got Reagan out of the way.
Yeah.
Now we're going to get Trump out of the way.
Yeah.
And this podcast is going to go very vanilla for a little while.
Thank God.
In the politics and religion department. Because either which way the election goes, we're going to be tired of it.
We're going to need eye bleach.
We're going to need eye bleach. We're going to need soul bleach.
Yeah. But this is a horror movie officially. And we want to say happy Halloween to the listeners.
Happy Halloween.
We'll see if election day is a trick or a treat. And this movie. we gotta go watch this.
See a movie.
It's gonna be huge.
Pray for us, y'all. The Apprentice. Love and light.
You use me to get you anything you wanted. Oh, but I'm a changed man. Get your other friend to get you what you want now. If I go through those same things again, I'll be worse off than I started. Oh, you're such a bad influence. Baby, you got ways to make me do what you want. Oh, and you're such a bad influence. Girl, I've got to stay away. I've been hurt in all of the world's kinds of ways. And it's from you, pretty baby, that Bob's just got to stay away from. I won't go through those same things again. I'm so glad that we parted. Oh, you're such a bad influence. Baby, you got ways to make me do what you want. Oh, and you're such a bad influence. Girl, I've got to stay away.
Oh my God, we're back from our whirlwind trip to New York.
Hey, I'm in New York. I've got a gun. Let's go to a Lodgecast show.
I mean, what a wild ride. It was kind of the perfect venue, the old Burbank 6, the scuzzy underground phone don't work.
It feels like we're in Times Square at the 6 a little bit, right?
It's an adult theater underground. Yeah.
Dirty.
We ride down the escalator of the 6 the way Donald Trump rode down the escalator to announce his presidency at Trump Tower lobby.
Yeah.
What usually greets us is not the presidency, but a shitty fucking movie.
A shitty Halloween sequel.
Or Night Swim.
And the 6 is getting more rickety because today, for the first time, the box office upstairs, which is where they usually scan your tickets and sell you tickets, is just shut down. And there's like a perma sign, like a permanently printed, framed kiosk sign that says, move your ass downstairs. We're doing this shit downstairs. And if you need a cash transaction, someone will help you. I'm just like, what is going on?
The 6 has got to be the first one to go.
So you stand in
the 3.
So you stand in line of concessions, which is whatever. We always do that. But then when you get your concessions, you have to then stand in line
with your concessions in hand.
With your concessions to get your ticket scanned.
It's bad.
And then when you get in to the fountain machine, there's only 2, unlike the 16 where there's like 10.
And one of them never works.
One of them is not working. So then there's a line of people trying to get their soda cups filled. It is
I
truly
think it's
a glimpse.
Conspiracy because you're trying to juggle your concessions, and they want you to drop them when you take out your phone so that you buy more concessions. It's actually quite brilliant.
I think it's a glimpse into the future, of the theatrical movie going business where we're all standing in line like soup kitchen.
It's going to be all automated.
Like, I've got my movie ticket stamped. Like,
sometimes it'll just play the wrong movie upside down, and you will have no one to complain to.
You'll get to the theater and there'll be no seats. So you have to stand for the next showtime like a train or something.
Oh, we kid, but
we couldn't even find the 6. By the way, it's AMC 6.
Yeah.
Which there's 6 auditoriums. We finally get our beverages. We go 1, 2, 3, 4,
lost in
5,
the
and Bishki's like, "Where the fuck is the 6?" I'm like, "It's right there." He's like, "No, that's 5," and I'm like, "What the fuck?"
Looks like a janitor's closet.
6 is an after. I thought 6 was the entrance into MacGuffins. I was like, "This cannot be our theater."
You could tell, left to our own devices, the 3 of us have been bumbling around, stumbling around. We did finally get to our movie though, right in time for Nicole.
Yeah, Nicole started kind of early, which was amazing. It was like 15 minutes instead of 20.
That's magic.
But before we get to the magic of Trump,
Fishy, what's that shot?
We got a special schnapps tonight
not from Rotten Tomatoes,
from truthsocial.com. A fake and classless movie written about me called The Apprentice, Do They Even Have the Right Name Without Approval? Will hopefully, quote, bomb, unquote. It's a cheap, defamatory, and politically disgusting hatchet job put out right before the 2024 presidential election to try and hurt the greatest political movement in the history of our country, quote, make America great again, unquote. My former wife, Ivana, was a kind and wonderful person, and I had a great relationship with her until the day she died.
Oh, wow.
The writer of this pile of garbage, Gabe Sherman, a lowlife and talentless hack who has been widely discredited, knew that, but chose to ignore it. So sad that human scum, like the people involved in this hopefully unsuccessful enterprise, are allowed to say and do whatever they want in order to hurt a political movement, which is far better than any of us. Mega 2024, exclamation point.
Boo. That was one Donald J. Trump.
Donald Trump talking about The Apprentice.
The subject of this film. And he doesn't have the patience to even watch himself. And to be honest, I was kind of wondering why he would be upset for a good chunk of this movie. Because you have to keep remembering, it is called The Apprentice, and Donald Trump is the apprentice in this film. He is the titular apprentice to Roy Cohn. I mean, is this going to be an Academy Award nominated performance?
But I'm shocked that Trump's not happy about Sebastian Stan. He
doesn't know. Trump doesn't
soldier playing him because he's almost miscast. Where it's like him and his dad, the actor who played Fred Trump, they almost look too human.
Yeah.
Whereas in real life, they look like cretins from the Black Lagoon. Like they crawled out of the East River.
I think with the dad.
The dad looked like Lucifer himself,
but they didn't want to make him too much. They didn't want to make him too much of the focus, and you could easily make Fred Trump the focus,
like Bryan Cranston, like big role for him, or there's a lot of people that could play Fred Trump, but
right? And his mother too. They got the hair right, and they got Fred Trump's profile right. His weird, freaky profile.
Yeah,
there's actually a lot of really great profile work with Sebastian Stan. You can tell he studied every ounce of Donald Trump's facial expressions, and especially in the mouth,
the lips, the way he talks,
the lips. And
it evolves over the course of the movie.
And that is the key as well. Like at first, it's kind of like Curb Your Enthusiasm with Donald Trump, like a real light curb, where he's
very meek.
He keeps bumbling into situations, Then as Roy Cohn kind of solidifies his grip over him, that's when he starts to evolve.
Such a great meet cute, them making eyes at each other.
Oh, it's great.
Across from the China Club or whatever that was.
Beautiful zoom into both of them.
Could not help but laugh.
Yeah. And Jeremy Strong, like, I do think he might be nominated for.
I think he will.
Supporting.
No way.
He plays.
Come on, it's a weak year. This is
way.
He plays
Hollywood watching this movie or giving love to this movie. No fucking
Lucas.
way.
I can't wait to flash back to this on our Oscar episode.
Okay.
He plays Roy Cohn with the perfect level of Nosferatu. Like, I know that the actor goes way too deep into his roles. Like he's talked about how his role in Succession almost killed him because it was so dark and he went so deep and he never wants to return to it ever again. I hope he went a little lighter with this one, but he looks like he didn't.
Have
he
you
looks
tried
like
acting, my dear boy? It's called acting, my dear boy.
The deadest eyes.
Oh my God.
Man.
But that's
Roy Cohn.
That's Roy Cohn for you.
Yeah.
And the look of it begins in like the mid 70s. And if it isn't shot on film, the first part of it, I was fooled. It looks like film.
Yeah, it intercuts up perfectly with the 70s. They use a lot of the stock footage in this from the 70s.
Yes.
Of New York.
The film Reagan could have taken several notes from this film. I mean, the period details I thought were fabulous.
Costumes, wigs, everything.
Especially since we're on a budget here. You know, like nothing that crazy happens, but you believe every situation they're in. Like it's a lot of restaurants and clubs and Trump Tower, Trump Taj Mahal.
Yeah.
Like I believed all of the period details. I had no problem with that. But I also really loved how as it transitioned into the 80s, it became video.
Okay. I was
You didn't like that.
I noticed that filter.
I noticed the switch. Yeah,
it was rainbow filter,
obvious,
over it.
But visually, it's tough to pull off a VHS look, like, and not make it look kind of like, I don't know, Dogma 95 or something like, you know, like a old like Von Trier film or something,
or
like,
look like a TV movie.
Yeah. So it was a little tough for me in certain shots. It felt like I almost would have rather they've kept the film stock going, but
I really liked it.
Okay.
I loved it. I loved how, as Trump evolves into kind of more the character and the caricature we know of him today, like it deserved a cheaper look. Like it deserved like less artistry to the visual medium. Like as he got cheaper, the film stock got cheaper to video stock.
It looked like shit. Yeah.
It looked like absolute shit, which I thought was great. But it's kind of a greatest hits montage in a way. Like we followed his life so closely, and especially you, Bishki. Like you've swam in all of these moments.
Yeah, and you do see the changes in him over time in his interviews of him just becoming stranger looking and more awful. Because you do go back in the in the 80s, and you're just. You know, there was a time when he's kind of soft spoken and he's kind of like, on Oprah and stuff like that. And, there's an interview in this where he's just kind of like, maybe I'll run for president. And he's just very like different from the way he talks now. And
his tone of voice is completely different.
Yeah.
It's softer, you know. I feel like the entirety of the Star Wars prequels are within this movie. He's sort of an innocent, not really an innocent, but for all intents and purposes, an innocent at the beginning and then gets pulled to the dark side. And by the end, they're putting the fucking Darth Vader helmet on him, basically.
Yeah. But there's even more. I mean, it's just kind of the first wave of his corruption, in terms of his whole life, when you get to like, the real Apprentice and reality TV and then
it really starts.
And then the political.
Yeah.
This is just this is
the appetizer. This takes us right up until he really went off the deep end.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the recreations of some of these iconic lowlights and highlights?
It is greatest hits. Like it is pretty surface in terms of, the scenes and the beats that they hit.
Yeah.
And in terms of his life, it's a challenge because I did hear that Ali Abbasi was trying to kind of humanize him.
Right.
And you're just kind of like,
and he really does for the first part of it.
The first half, but you're kind of like, why do you want to do that? Like, I mean, like, not like,
I think for the story you need an arc
for the arc. Yeah.
Because if he was smarmy the whole way through, which whoever you choose to believe, the majority would say yes, he is smarmy.
Yeah.
All through and through from a child until present day.
But you're missing out on so much of his story. Because I didn't give a shit about Donald Trump before he ran for president. He was just a clown, just kind of a clown that was like a caricature of all the awful things of rich people.
I really never thought he'd win the presidency in 2016. I was so not woke.
He didn't think so either.
I was just like this is not happening. And then he won it, and I've never been the same.
And then it became Clown World.
But a good question, Brother Bishke. Yeah, why did the filmmakers choose to make this origin story about him? It doesn't really shed any new light that we don't already know. And if anything, it tries to humanize him or make you sympathize with him.
Is this for people who don't know everything? Who is this for? I mean, I know this is.
How did he get this way? And it's
this is catnip for Zach for sure.
I'll tell you.
Zach would have been laughing his ass off throughout.
Yeah.
But, I think it really is trying to show that his mindset and his, for lack of a better term, evil was groomed into him by Roy Cohn, which makes for a good story, but that's probably not the long and short of it,
Yeah.
But for the arc of the movie, it's, Roy Cohn creates a monster and then the monster runs amok and he can't control him anymore. And what a nightmare for him as he dies slowly.
I don't know enough about Roy Cohn in terms of but to see Roy Cohn kind of breaking down at the end or something.
Well, he's a fascinating character. This movie should have been about him with Trump in the periphery,
Correct.
I feel, because they have such a character in this guy. He got famous and infamous working for Joseph McCarthy, and then he became just this ruthless ghoul who himself was Jewish but was virulently anti-Semitic, and who himself was gay but was completely horribly homophobic. What a character.
Yeah.
And there was a show called Fellow Travelers that heavily featured him. That's the blueprint where it shows what an intensely interesting character he is. It feels like that's where the movie might have been, but the flashier movie is to follow Donald Trump, and the funnier movie, and the more marketable movie. If it was called The Mentor, nobody would really give a shit.
It's like watching a movie about Roger Stone. It's do I really want to
right? Who does appear in this film as one of Roy Cohn's
well-cast
pool boys,
a well-cast Roger Stone, yeah.
And I thought his performance was great. It's just kind of this completely shameless, aw shucks grifter man. I mean, I thought Sebastian Stan did a great job. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, he's not going for an exact.
No, it's not one to one.
No, which helps. Yeah,
but it's the spirit, and you can tell he's done the work, especially as he gets older. There's a scene with him and his doctor where he's just I keep getting bigger. My stomach keeps getting bigger. I keep growing. And the doctor's like, have you thought about exercise? And he's like, no, the human body only has a finite amount of energy, like a battery. You can deplete it. And the doctor's just like, what? You can tell he has swum in the bullshit so much that he knows how to get it out. And again, it's all in the mouth. You could just watch this masterclass in mouth acting. When he says his O's, and he makes that Trumpian butthole move. It's subtle, but it's there.
Yeah.
And we got Ivana
Maria Bakalova.
Yes, she's here
from Borat's subsequent movie film, which came out in 2020.
Oh my God.
Right around election time.
Wow. Yes, and she was the one that Rudy Giuliani was trying to
move his depends for.
Get
his penis ready for takeoff.
Oh man,
what a time.
Yeah, she laid it on thick with the accent. I had trouble hearing some of her words occasionally.
Yeah, which is, I mean, realistic.
Yeah.
But I was shocked when I knew that we were in Trump's getting pissed at this territory is the rape scene, which is brutal.
Yeah.
And I think the film really feels like that's the point where it was like, look at your president, you motherfuckers. Look at him. Look at him. Look at what he's doing. And I believe that was from Ivana's book.
Yeah.
So,
which she backed down on, probably from a Roy Cohn threat or something.
Who knows? At that point in time in the fucking 80s,
Yeah.
What the shit that she had to go through. The weird shit that she ended up with, being buried on his golf course.
And the coffin weighed more than her body.
I mean,
it's so shady.
Yeah.
You know she was buried with like classified information that he stole that he's going to dig up later and sell.
There's 900 movies to be made about the next 20 years.
The more you think about it, like this story is just like a sliver of the whole epic of Trump's tragic life.
And that's why it kind of feels surface, because you know, we've read so much and we know so much, and we know the currents moving beneath the currents.
I know the quotes, I know the footage, like, yeah.
What also makes me feel like it's for people who don't know, like it's baby's first Trump film. Is the script is so on the nose so often, like especially when shit's going south between Cohn and Trump, and Cohn is sick and he's, you know, upset that Trump is not helping him like he helped Trump. And they have kind of this showdown outside in New York City, and they just lay it all bare. They lay it all bare. Trump's like, you're the devil, and he's like, you're the one that needs to be saved. Like a couple of looks could have done it, you know, or just like
there's nothing subtle in this movie.
There is nothing subtle in this movie,
which makes for comedy, like, but,
which thank God, because it needs to be funny.
Yeah, if it was just a drama, it would be pretty deadly. But yeah,
but like, what does the Golden Globes nominate this as? Is it a comedy musical?
Not with a rape scene, no.
But what is it?
Can't do it.
But like, what is it? You know, because it was pretty funny, but also I don't know. Like
it had some laughs when Trump was wheeling Roy Cohn around in a wheelchair at Mar-a-Lago and was like bringing him down some stairs.
That
like
last
super
10 minutes,
non-gently,
and and Roy Cohn sees the hilarious portrait that actually does hang in Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah.
But he's missing a leg, and he's like, what happened to your leg? And Trump's like, I didn't pay him on time. He didn't finish it. That is so fucking hilarious. There's so much going on in this visually that I think it's a feast just on that level.
Yeah, it is pretty amazing in terms of the weaving of the found footage with the what they shoot. It was pretty seamless in terms of.
I can never get enough of his Atlantic City adventures. I mean, I wish there was a movie just about the Trump Taj Mahal. You know,
like
from like its building to its like liquidation.
But the little that we did get when he's in the casino, and Roy Cohn's like, "This is not anything like Vegas. This is grody. This is not good."
And he's chowing down on the
Trump
buffet.
cuts in line at the buffet. He's like, "That looks good. It's hot. It's ready to go." Zach, wherever you dwell tonight, your spirit is here. You would have loved this shit.
Yeah.
I feel like there was a salad crouton in there.
Yes.
Salad crouton.
Is when Trump, still in Act 1, is like the meek version.
Yeah.
And he goes to a party at Roy Cohn's house.
Oh, yes.
He's like, has anyone seen Roy? He's like, I think he's upstairs. He's like, okay, I'll go find him. And he like opens the door into the hottest, like sexiest, like turbo fucking amongst all these gentlemen. And Trump just politely like leaves them to it. But then he like bumps into a guy like with a Richard Nixon mask on.
And he starts humping his leg.
Who like falls on the ground. And Trump's like, get away from me, you freak. And then it cuts back to the salad characters,
the Nixon man.
Yeah, that was the crouton for me.
Yes,
that was good comedy.
And I think, for my money, there's a dragon, and it's toward the end.
The Salad Dragon. A scene in a movie that is so bizarre, baffling, or transcendent that it instantly justifies the price of admission. Or Reese Witherspoon's leafy transformation in A Wrinkle in Time.
It's when Roy Cohn finally passes away, and there's a little boys choir singing next to his coffin, and they intercut that with Trump getting a combination liposuction and scalp heightening and adjusting situation to get rid of his bald spot.
Yeah, like the cross-cutting at the end of The Godfather. But
that's exactly what it is.
A literal monster.
And that's when it feels like it feels like when they take that chunk of scalp out and sew the pieces together. That feels like that's when the Darth Vader helmet is coming down on him at the end. You know, like he's finally ready to live to up or down to his true potential. All right, well, let's go to him. Apprentice Bones.
I can feel it in my bones.
How many golden bones? Bishki, you were first to bone.
All right.
First to bone.
Yeah, this is an epic story of the Donald that is just maybe the first part of a trilogy or something that you could do.
Yeah.
Not that there's ever going to be another one, but there's so much more that happens that you can dramatize, and the story's still being written.
Oof.
And yeah, so I thought it was, you know, for what it was, like, you don't want like a serious period drama. Like you definitely got to, in terms of the tone, I think Ali Abbasi did about as good as he could with this material. You know, it's pretty surface and it's nothing we haven't seen before, but I thought well done from the performers. Jeremy Strong, really good. Roy Cohn, he's going to be might be nominated.
I think definitely.
And it's kind of for Zach. It's kind of catnip for me, like just hitting these beats and seeing Trump at these stages just dramatized is funny.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to give it, you know, 2.5.
2.5.
I liked it. I thought it's about as good as you could do for a Trump origin story. And
Trump origins.
And you know, it's just, you can't really recommend it because it's just
yeah. Because it's not ancient history.
It's not ancient history. It's very of the time.
It's very now.
Very now.
Brother Lucas in the back, what do you got cooking up?
Time for my totally stable genius hothead review.
You gonna side with Trump about these
no way, man.
These chuckleheads making a no good picture?
No way, man. But you hit the nail on the head earlier saying that Roy Cohn really should have been the lead or protagonist, should have been from his POV. And it should have been called not the mentor, but like the Godfather of Donald Trump or something, you know, play off the original Godfather film, you know, because they just allude to it with that cross-cutting at the ending.
Yeah, the Godfather's definitely in there.
Because to me, the movie only works when it's Cohn and Trump on screen, you know, and a little as time goes by, just Trump slowly starts taking over it and you see less and less of Roy. And that's like a detriment to it. And I feel like the writer and director kind of gloss over a lot of things and they're telling us, but not showing us. So like in one scene, Trump is meek. And then another scene, all of a sudden he's talking, you know, with the brash bravado that we've kind of come to know.
Yeah, there's some pretty big jumps because it goes from mid 70s to like late 80s.
Right. But it doesn't earn or feel like that epicness, even though it's a 2-hour runtime, you know, like the way like, you know, another movie might feel more broad. Because it just moves. So it is moving. Yeah. And I do appreciate the fast pace.
Definitely moves.
Because I was never bored in those 2 hours. And there are genuine, intentional laughs sprinkled and peppered throughout. I kind of wish it was just more a Seabrick or funny or vicious in its comedy, like roasting these guys. But it doesn't. Like it does. For the most part, it plays it pretty straight.
Yeah.
It just doesn't quite work for me because I just don't find anything dramatic or interesting about Trump at that stage of his life with as much as I know now.
Right.
I would be more curious to see a film, you know, after Trump Tower is built and Giuliani's in office and like it's right before 9/11 where Giuliani kicks out all the Italian mafia and gets cozy with all these Russian oligarchs that are like, you know, now billionaires after Putin's rose to power and they're like laundering their money by buying these like expensive condos in Trump Tower, which is like planting the seeds for what happens, you know, 15, 16, 20 years later when he gets elected.
That'll be The Apprentice Part 2.
Yeah. So with this, it's like, man, if it was from Roy Cohn's POV, then at the end when he confronts him and he's shattered by him. And then he like calls him on his deathbed to take him out one last time. And you have that moment with the cufflinks and the cake. It'll land much harder. But here, like, I get it. Like, intellectually, I get it. But emotionally, I could not care less. And I'm just looking at my watch, like yawning, pretty bored. So I'm gonna go one bone lower than Brother Bishop. I'm gonna give it 1.5 bones.
1.5 from the hothead. Yeah, I mean, by the end, when Jeremy Strong's really putting in the work, looking extra fucking haunted in the glow of that American flag birthday cake, I did just get that pang of like, oh, I don't know enough about you from this movie to really make this like hit on anything other than the student becomes the teacher kind of vibe, you know? And the performance is good enough to warrant a deeper dive into this character, but instead, you know, yeah, we follow the golden boy, and you know, I get why you do that too, but there's something holding it back from really having an emotional impact. But for what it is, I loved the look of it. I loved the performances were great. I had a good time. But another thing that kind of lingers in the back of my head is no matter what angle you take on this material, you can't get weirder or more arresting than the actual shit.
Yeah.
Like any attempt to dramatize it or, God forbid, satirize it, you can't do it. It's never going to be more powerful than just the documentary footage of all of this shit going
witnessing
down.
What we have in the last 9 years has been the most fascinating movie I've ever seen.
And it's been covered, you know, you can trace, like, there's footage of absolutely everything, you know?
Yeah.
So if there's going to be an Apprentice Part 2 and an Apprentice Part 3, Coda, the death of Donald J. Trump.
The death of democracy.
The death of democracy and darkness, then I just don't think it can top, you know, what's already available on YouTube to just marinate in these fetid waters yourself and mainline the actual shit. But that said, I think it's 2.5, but just putting that little extra tidbit of love and light and hope out there, I'm going to Brother Ben bump it up to 3 bones.
It's a Brother Ben bump, y'all.
Brother Ben, take us to victory.
Brother Ben, we trust in you to take us to victory on election night. And you know what, Brother Zach, if Zach were here tonight, he would have the perfect soothing message. You know what? I'm gonna make sure that he calls in and leaves some sort of final note as we march toward this election night, because
soothe us, Zach.
Soothe us, Zachary. We need it. Because, oh, God damn it.
Red alert.
Red alert. Lucas, do you have any soothing words for us?
Buckle up, kids. It's going to be a bumpy flight.
Oh, man. Well, I love you guys. And no matter what happens, we will soldier forth as long as we can.
We'll see you on the other side of the election, folks.
Oh, take it away, Zach. Soothe our weary souls. Love and light.
Love and light.
Love and light.
Your call has been forwarded to an automatic voice message system.
Hey guys, Brother Zach here. Apparently I was summoned to channel a little Lodge love and light on the eve of a total shit show of an election, and I wrote a whole screed, and I just threw it out because you guys all know the same reasons why this is such a deeply stupid argument to even have to have on Donald Trump. So I'm just going to say, I think we're going to win. It's going to be close. Keep the faith. And remember, it's more fun and it's more entertaining to have a salad dragon on your screen than in your White House. So please vote early, vote often, keep the faith, And keep Dinesh D'Souza off the Lodgecast, please, for my sake. And fuck Trump. Fuck fascists, racists, white supremacists. And I will see you back at the movies.
Mega 2024 exclamation point.